Now with Ivan Maisel, On3 Sports, welcome back to the scene. So I've seen a lot of hype of this On3 Sports. What can you tell me about On3?
Well, Nick, the goal is to cover the spectacle and the news of college football. And, I think really what we're trying to do, I'm going to tell the stories I've been telling in college football for, more than 30 years. And we'll be very heavy on recruiting, and we're going to have a lot of connections to team sites around the country and to funnel their readers to us and to get our news out to them. So there's several prongs that will beat On3, but the goal is always going to be the same, and is to people have a connection to college athletics that is unlike anything else in American sports, and that's what we're going to be there to chronicle.
The connections remain the same, but the sport is changing quite rapidly.
I think,
Greg Sankey, he alluded to that quite heavily. He was a little on the nose with his Bob Dylan reference, but what do you think is going to have a greater impact on the sport, the movement in the transfer portal, or how nil rights get kids to school and how people can profit off their name, image, and likeness?
Well, I think there's so much right now that's in flux. I mean, from transfer portal to NIL to the expanding the playoff, that the next 3 to 5 years are going to be there's going to be just a lot of tumult and a lot of change, and we're going to all kind of let it play out and see what works and see what doesn't, and then fix it. I think the transfer portal will probably have a larger impact. As Greg Sankey said, 1,600 kids have gone into the transfer portal, and there's still 1,100 who are there no longer with scholarships, and that's a problem. And it's a combination of poor planning, poor communication, not very good explanation to the kids of what this entails, and also a little bit of that traditional relationship of school to athlete is changing. The 4-year commitment on both ends, is not what it has been, and we're all going to have to figure that out.
Well, in addition to the connections with the players and schools, the coaches and the schools, that's changed a lot. 8 new coaches in the SEC over the last 2 years. Who do you think is best positioned to kind of succeed out of that batch of new coaches, or are a lot of them just going to be? Are we going to be going around this carousel again here soon?
Well, the carousel always goes around, and the problem is attention spans are short, patience is shorter. And if you might get 3 years now, which is crazy. But that's what the marketplace is for coaches, and they're paid very handsomely to get into that marketplace. I don't know. I mean, I think the fact that Drinkwitz had won 5 games with somebody else's players at Missouri right off the bat, that caught my eye.
Right.
Clearly, Lane Kiffin and Mike Leach have won at other places, so they know how to win. But not every, you can make a good case for all these guys because that's why they got hired.
Right.
But not everybody's going to win. I think Shane Beamer, for a first-year coach, has got bitten off a lot to chew at South Carolina, and but if you're going to take a guy, a first-year coach, you want one that's been immersed in it his entire life, which is certainly the case with Shane. I think it's not going to change. I mean, if you think about it, 28 jobs in 2 years that may or may not be available. If only 8 were changed out, that means right now the SEC's got some pretty good coaches.
Mark Stoops, he's now the second longest tenured coach in the Southeastern Conference, behind only Nick Saban. Mullen's been here as many years, just different schools, but
sure.
Stoops has done just about everything at Kentucky, except there's one box he hasn't checked. He hasn't taken Kentucky to an SEC championship game. Fill in the blank for me. Kentucky goes to Atlanta if
This year?
This year.
Boy, a lot would have to go right in Lexington, and a lot would have to go wrong in Athens. But, you know, what I like about what Mark has done there is you can depend on Kentucky to not beat themselves and to play solid defense. And, you know, that's what Mark has built, and to his credit, it's been historically hard to do in Kentucky, is to have that level of consistency. So, you know, I think in an East that's dominated by Georgia, somebody's going to have to step up and be the contender to Georgia, and it's got a good chance of being Kentucky.
Well, Ivan, thanks for hanging out with us. 4 questions with KSR. Can't wait to see what On3 has to offer the college football
Thanks,
world.
Nick.